I'm ready. We're rolling.
All right. We're at Sisters of Earth conference, and Dr. Vandana S has been wonderfully generous with her time to spend a few minutes with us from Santuario Sisterfarm, and she said so many wonderful things we want to capture. Just recently I heard you at the breakfast table talking about what Sisters of Earth ecology centers could be doing in terms of seed savings. Could you just say a bit about that, the challenge you offered them at the breakfast table a minute ago?
I think partly because you already are organized. You are a large network of Sisters of the Earth. Very often you have spaces which are anyway sanctuaries.
Yes.
That this could be extended to become sanctuaries of seed.
Great.
Because seed saving, in my view, is one of the most important acts of our time, because the seed is under severe threat, both through erosion of diversity, through genetic engineering, which is pollution at the genetic level, and through seed monopolies and ownership over life. And all of these get responded to by the simple act of seed saving, which Sisters of the Earth, I would imagine, want to do anyway, because they want to work for the earth.
Yeah, a lot of us only buy seeds from companies that take the Safe Seed Pledge, which says we will never knowingly buy or sell genetically modified seeds. The other thing you said that we were fascinated with was the idea of monocultures of the mind. Could you just say a word about that? Because we see it as really a key way of explaining what the problems are.
I realized during the 70s and 80s, wherever there was a serious ecological problem, like in the mountains of Himalaya, where I come from, where the women wanted to protect the natural forest and the foresters wanted to do clear cutting and plant monoculture plantations, and the women would talk about everything they get from the forest, and the scientific establishment would say, but that's unproductive, it doesn't produce enough. For them only the eucalyptus exists, for them only the pine exists. And I realized there has to be something in that training of reductionism that makes you only see monocultures and creates a monoculture of the mind that blocks off seeing the richness and abundance of diversity that nature gives us. And then I realized this was happening with agriculture when Punjab erupted in a volcano of terrorist violence. And obviously below the violence was discontent. And yet the model of the Green Revolution was saying, this is a model of prosperity, we are giving you more. But you don't get discontent if you have more.
Exactly.
So something was happening, and I studied the Green Revolution and found a disappearance of prosperity rather than the creation of prosperity. And the disappearance of prosperity was linked to the disappearance of diversity, because again in agriculture, there's a monoculture of the mind shaped by growing more of what can reach a global market as a commodity, which means growing less of what you need for your health, for your nutrition, for maintaining ecological networks. And I just realized at that time that there is a blinding that's taking place, and you can't see what exists. And that is the monoculture of the mind.
Yeah, and just the one other thing that you said that was very interesting to us at Sisterfarm and with some of these smaller places is the productivity of small biodiverse plots. I mean, you had some research that you've seen on that.
Well, from the beginning when industrial agriculture was introduced with monocultures, with high external inputs, because when you get rid of diversity, you get rid of the functions that diversity performs. Controlling pests, fertilizing the soil with all of the mulch that nature produces. So you get rid of the self-organized fertility, self-organized pest control. Then you have to put it in as external inputs. External inputs have to be continuously increased, because these are ecological narcotics. You need more. The more you use them, the more you have to use them. And so you get the cost of production shooting up. And actually your production going down. And yet, because of the monoculture of the mind, this negative economy is presented as a positive economy, into which everyone must be forced. So if you have 2 cows, not good enough, you must have 20. If you have 20, you must have 200. If you have 200, you must have 200,000. It was known from the beginning that actually the smaller, diversified, integrated farm with livestock, with trees, with multiple crops, produces much more biologically. But they change that into an economics where it's not biology. It's not the reality of what grows, but a calculus, a very manipulated calculus of the marketplace, which externalizes the costs. The cost of fossil fuels, the cost of fertilizer, the cost of the giant machinery, and it externalizes the cost of environmental destruction. Both costs are externalized. So it's made to look like out of the blue, you're getting more, but all you're measuring is the monoculture, and all you're measuring is the yield of a single commodity. If you do an honest calculation, the smaller the farm, the higher the production. The more diverse the farm, the higher the production. And organic farms, higher production in an ecological equation.
Not just the commodity.
Yes.
And not necessarily defined as a commodity, right?
And the food is nurturing and nourishing rather than an empty commodity that we're filling our bodies with.
Empty commodity and empty mass, and the only thing that's present is poison.
Hang on.
Emptied of nutrition but filled with poison. And that isn't what food is supposed to be.
No. Is that it?